Welcome to InterPartyConflict, the podcast where we answer your questions so you can have the best tabletop gaming experience possible. My name is 34-year-old Gabe.
Wow. Oh, right, because it was your birthday.
It's just my birthday.
and my name is...
You don't have to say your age.
Well, I'm 30... Wait. 32. 32.
Oh.
32? Yes.
Do you remember what year you were born in?
32 is...
You were 1932?
Yes, 1932.
Oh, goodness.
But my name is Jeff, by the way, for those of you who don't know.
Yes. And the day before we recorded this, it was... Actually, my birthday was 2 days ago.
Right.
But yesterday we had a birthday party.
Right.
Yeah, so we had a lot of fun, I think. Had people over, played some video games.
But I'm dying for you to ask me a question, Gabe. Because you haven't asked me anything yet.
Okay.
This episode. And I'm starting to feel worried. In fact, I'm kind of panicking that all of our listeners are upset at you for not asking me.
Okay, fine. I'm sorry. I have a question for you, Jeff.
Yes. Well, we haven't...
Samuel O on email asks, how would you go about trying to... How are you doing today, Jeff?
I'm fine. I feel it feels weird. I don't think we finished the intro, and I'm scared. I'm scared, Gabe.
Just imagine that we have a guest today, because I always forget to ask you when we have guests. Because I'm much more preoccupied asking the guests how they are doing.
Okay. Well, I'm shoot. Now I don't know what I'm going to say. I'm going to say, I'm fine. How are you?
I'm pretty good. Pretty good. So yeah. I don't really have much else for this intro. I don't know. We had a fun party. It was great. We actually, the last few people before they left, they played through the full game of D&D Shadow over Mystara on my arcade cabinet.
Oh yeah.
So,
that's such a great game.
Yeah, if you want to watch a full playthrough of that and its prequel, The Tower of Doom.
Oh yeah.
Check out Jeff's FriendQuest page on YouTube.
Yeah, just search, I guess, FriendQuest on YouTube. Just search FriendQuest Tower of Doom.
I think so, yeah.
And I think that should pull it up because YouTube knows I don't have a unique URL or anything. But whatever. So yeah, that was the first stuff that we recorded.
Yeah. It's a fun game.
We recorded that before we recorded our first episode of the podcast.
Yes, because if anybody is not aware, we originally bought our mics not to make a podcast, but to make a video game streaming channel.
Right. And I don't know, I feel like podcasts are so much, I don't know. It's easier for me because I don't do any of the work.
I guess that's probably a part of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, you wanted to do that, and then once we got the equipment, I thought, hey, I kind of want to do a podcast too. Yeah. Actually, I wanted to do a couple different podcast things.
Sure.
But I'm very happy with what we did.
Yeah. We started up our relationship advice podcast. Yeah. The relationship between players, DMs, and the game.
Of course. Yeah. All right, you want to go ahead and get into this episode, Jeff?
What is this episode? But yes, let's get going.
Okay, so I want you to imagine that you are a world famous athlete.
Okay. Wow. I'd like to thank my mother for driving me to practice. I'd like to thank Gabe for making up this fantasy in which I am an athlete.
Anytime.
But go on.
So you are, you got like a big competition or something. A ton of people. I don't know how these things work. But a lot of people are in the stadium
recital
yes, you have an athlete recital. I like how I haven't even said what type of athletics you are doing.
That's the best part.
And so you,
it's everyone's imagination.
You're on the track or court or something.
The board.
You're on the board.
The squared circle.
And your opponent is standing next to you, and they're looking pretty mean and
I'm sorry.
I think you are probably assuming that your opponent is going to be some sort of a dragon type.
Maybe.
That's not true, Jeff.
Okay.
That's stereotyping right there.
Oh, okay. All right.
You're stereotyping my stories.
I am right.
So instead, but anyway, so you and your opponent, you line up at the starting line or whatever, the starting trough.
The start.
And
Gardening trough.
This may sound strange to anyone who is listening to this story, but for you, because you are an expert in this chosen field of athletics, you're well aware of this. In order to win, you do not have to run or throw or jump or whatever. You have to roll a 20-sided die.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Mm-hmm.
So I want you to roll a 20-sided die for me right now. Sorry, I kind of moved everything yesterday. Oh, dang.
Wow.
Jeff, tell our listeners what you just got.
Is this a first?
It might be.
I feel like this is a first.
How many times have we been doing this?
I don't know. I feel like I've gotten like 80% of the time I get single digits. I got a 20.
He got a natural 20.
I got a natural 20.
Everybody.
We have to make a noise.
I will. No, don't worry. There will have already been. Our listeners already heard a noise.
Awesome.
At this point.
I don't know what it is. I hope it was awesome.
I will try to find the most awesome noise I can. So, So the referee raises a gun.
Oh, God.
Fires the gun into the air.
Oh, okay.
And then you take off dribbling or something.
Dribbling.
You just shoot ahead of your opponent. Before you know it, you're making laps. You're on the ceiling. You're up in the air, whatever the heck you're doing.
Right.
And you have reached the goal.
Yeah. Long
before your opponent. And do you know where that goal is? Do you know where you were running to? Question mark.
Where I was athleting.
You were athleting to.
I was athleting to
the Dragon's Hoard. So right before we started recording, Jeff expressed an interest in playing a character that was a famous athlete.
Right.
So I ran with it.
Yeah, just like maybe I could like make up a sport that you reference throughout the
Jeff,
the
you didn't acknowledge. I made a silent motion that none of our listeners could see after I said what I said just now.
I'm sorry, but
there you go.
There it is.
I made a pretty good pun. Anyway,
sorry.
I ran with it. I said.
See, I didn't catch it because you were running too fast.
Good job, Jeff.
Yeah.
All right. So our last couple episodes have been real goofy. So today's magic item was submitted by Xanatos on Discord. And this magic item...
Well, now I'm thinking of Xanatos, which sounds delicious.
What you should be thinking is Xanatos from the TV show Gargoyles, which is on Disney+.
Oh, is it? What?
Yup.
Uh-oh.
You can go watch all of Gargoyles right now.
Oh. Don't tell Skylar.
Okay, let me hang on. Hang on, Jeff.
No, don't. Stop. Get off of Facebook. Stop it. Stop it.
So sorry, small tangent. I just got a mechanical keyboard within the last week or two.
Oh, right, yeah.
And so anytime I'm trying to sneakily Google something while we're recording, it will be much more apparent.
Right.
Because it's very loud.
And I feel like that's not even like the loudest keyboard I've ever heard.
No, it's definitely louder than the one I used to have,
Oh,
though.
my buddy PJ, his keyboard is so loud.
Yeah.
Like when we played Dead by Daylight.
Oh, no, that's actually a musical keyboard.
Right, he is a musician. But when we played Dead by Daylight at the end of the round, when you can talk to like the killer and stuff, like if the killer did something like toxic or whatever, or they camped or whatever, he always gives them the business, and it's just like the match is over. You know.
So Xanatos submitted this magic item on Discord.
Delicious.
And I don't think Xanatos created this. It's like an image that I'm pretty sure has been shared on Reddit and such. So I don't know exactly who created it, but whoever did, thank you for creating it. Thank you, Xanatos, for submitting it. Now, the magic item is the Bracer of Initiative. And there's a bit to unpack with this item. I'll explain what it does. So it's fairly simple. While wearing the Bracer of Initiative, you receive a +2 bonus to all initiative checks and charisma-based skill checks. Your hair also wafts heroically in a breeze that seems to work for you no matter where you are. And that's it. So like mechanically, all it does is give you a +2 to initiative and a +2 to charisma skills.
Sure.
Charisma-based skill checks.
Yeah.
So, but then there's also the weird, your hair is blowing heroically in the wind or whatever. And then I didn't even really pay attention to the picture of this thing, but you pointed out the bracer appears to has a bunch of little like compartments that like snap shut.
Yeah.
And it looks like each of them is holding They're all holding dice.
Yeah, they're like they're bracers that hold a set of dice.
Yeah.
So you could like wear this to your tabletop session.
I guess,
like,
yeah, if you had a real one.
Yeah. I mean, the picture, it looks. Yeah, I'm pretty sure somebody just makes these.
So you think it's just a photo somebody took and then they
I think
cut
so.
it out and put it into this thing? Okay.
Yeah, I could see this. Like, some sort of like leather working person on Etsy or something maybe makes these. I don't know.
It still makes me ask, like, what would your character have dice in the bracers? Are the bracers part of the are the dice part of the magic item?
Sure, I don't know.
Is the magic actually contained in the dice? Is this essentially an infinity gauntlet that harnesses the power of these,
of the dice?
In this case, 5 quote-unquote stones?
Oh, yeah. Because there's like, how many different...
6.
There's 6?
There's 1 for each finger and then 1 for the back.
Well, but no, the dice, though.
Oh, the dice, there's 7.
There's 7 different types of dice?
Yes.
Or is 7 including
there's
the
2 D10s. So there's D4, D6, D8, D10, D12, D20.
So that's 6.
Oh, shoot.
That's
Somebody surely made that, right?
Absolutely. 100%. Not a doubt in my mind that exists. But like, just trying to think of a campaign where you're going and finding these infinity die or whatever, like what would each of the die do?
I think I know what I got to do, Jeff.
Right? Right? I don't know.
Yeah. But so it's weird to think of that the magic item incorporates dice somehow,
right?
Whether intended or not intended. But also this was posted on the Discord, and there was some discussion about like what is going on with this magic item as far as like the powers go. First off, it's bracers that improve your initiative and your charisma.
Yeah.
And then also, what's with the like your wind blowing or the hair
wafting.
blowing in the wind?
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure where this all ties in.
Yeah.
Like where it all ties in together. It might be like something that's like a reference to somebody,
Possibly. Now, I did think of a way to make this work without changing the mechanics. What I said on the Discord was that I think this is mostly just a matter of strange branding, like strange description.
Yeah.
If it weren't called the Bracer of Initiative, I think that it might work a little bit better if it was called something like I don't know, the Bracer of like heroism, or the Bracer of heroic confidence. I think is what I said. Bracers of heroic confidence.
Yeah, yeah.
Because then, number 1, you are more confident, so you're gonna react faster. Second, you have bonus on charisma-based checks because you are confident.
Right.
And also, you're a confident hero, so your hair is blowing in the wind.
Blowing in the wind. Right. Yeah.
Still a little weird. But,
sure. Sure.
I
mean, I don't hate it. Like, the like wafting hair thing. It's a very like silly thing, but like, I don't know. Like, even in a serious adventure, you can still pull that off as a magic item. Yeah. Like, just like, oh yeah, my hair is just always flowing. Like it's just, I don't know. Like it's just the energy coming from the magic from the bracers. It's like always, it's always just running through my hair. There was
I think it was a Wizards of the Coast adventure I ran a long time ago where one of the characters is like part air elemental or something. And one of the parts of his description was when you encounter him, he just has like this like breeze around him all the time.
Sure.
So that's what comes to mind when I think of that.
They lick their fingers, stick in the air. It's like, where is that breeze coming from? Like, what is going on? Yeah.
So yeah, pretty simple item, just kind of a weird mishmash of stuff, but I think there's a way to make it work just with a little bit of rebranding. So that's the item. That's the Bracer of Initiative. Thank you very much, Xanatos, on Discord for submitting that. Jeff, if anybody would like to submit magic items for us to discuss in the Dragon's Hoard, or questions for our main segment, or stories for the funeral pyre, how would they do so?
They can send us an email at InterPartyConflict@gmail.com.
Yep.
Or they can join us on our Interparty Discord. Which
Xanatos here.
Right. Which you can join us by going to bit.ly/InterpartyDiscord.
Yes, it's that simple. You don't have to be a patron or anything. We would love to have some new members on there.
Yep.
All right. And then before we go any further, we have a giveaway to give away today. We're giving away a copy of Chapel on the Cliffs, courtesy of Goblinstone. Goblinstone is a group of content creators based in the UK that have been creating great adventures for several years now. And they've given us this wonderful adventure, Chapel on the Cliffs, which is a low-level 5th edition adventure with some spooky zombies and skeletons and such. And it's a great adventure. So we're giving away this copy this week. Who is our winner, Jeff?
Our winner this week is Elliot M.
Whoa, winner. Gobble. Yes, congratulations, Elliot M. You should be getting that in your email pretty soon. If you don't, let us know. It might be in your spam folder, or it might be running a few days late. So, and be sure to let Goblin Stone know what you think. Leave them a review so that they can continue to go on and make some great products in the future. And then I also want to thank all of our wonderful patrons for helping make this show happen. We actually just had one of our patrons increase his pledge from $1 to $5.
Woo.
So thank you very much, Adam, for doing that. We really appreciate
Adam.
it. So for anybody who's not familiar, Patreon is an online platform where you can pledge to donate a certain amount of money per month. Some of them are per episode, but ours is per month. And you can get some cool stuff in return. We've got some outtakes on there. We've got some fantasy fiction that I've written. I've also started putting out my fantasy fiction in audio format. By the time this goes out, I should have already put out my most recent one, which I'm very proud of. So we've also got for the next tier up, we've got a monthly bonus podcast for our patrons. And we've also got a monthly Roll20 game for the top tier. We've been having some difficulties getting everything scheduled this month, so we might have to keep pushing it back.
We're getting into the holiday.
We are.
Like the heat of the holiday season, so it's a little tricky.
Yeah, so anyway, thank you very much to all of our patrons who have been donating so far. And if anybody would like to donate and take part in some of those cool bonus stuff, and also just help out, keep the show going and helping us make it better. So if you can do that, you can go to patreon.com/InterPartyConflict. Check out the rewards, see if anything appeals to you, and if so, thank you very much. All right, and then just one more thing. Check out the other podcasts on the Crit Nation Fellowship. Check out Crit Academy at critacademy.com. Justin, Ian, and Brandon create new and reusable content for players and DMs alike. And also check out Brute Force and Ignorance. They are an actual play podcast on the network from either side of the Atlantic Ocean. So they got some cool stuff on there. And of course, check out D&D Character Lab. They've stopped making episodes, but their previous episodes are still up there, where they made characters every week and pitted them against each other and debated whose is better.
Yep.
All right, enough with all the admin. Let's get into some questions, Jeff.
All right, our first question comes from Jason E. on Discord, and they ask, what do you do when a new sourcebook comes out and players want to tweak or change their existing characters?
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure this is in response to the Eberron book that recently came out. As of this recording, came out like within the last week. So, so what do you do when you're in an existing campaign, an ongoing campaign, and one of the players sees a new book and they're like, oh, cool, I want to incorporate some of this into my character.
Right, yeah.
Now there are a couple different, we can address there's different stages of this. It might be, oh, I want to just swap out this feat for another feat.
Sure.
It might be, I want to remake my character.
Right. That's big, because if it's got like a new race and a new class in it that they really like the idea of, they're like, well, I just want to roll a whole new character. Can it pretty please kill off my character so I can make a new one from this book?
Sure.
Or it's like, it's got a new spell or, like you said, a new feat or something that they want to throw in there. And and it could very well just be like, because we've talked about power creep before.
Yeah. And
it's because it's new, it's alluring, and a lot of times it's more powerful than what's available in the previous books.
Winged tiefling. Sorry, go on. I have a cough.
Right. Yeah. So it's like, can I change my tiefling to a winged tiefling?
Yeah.
It's like, but it's one of those things where it's like you have to kind of gauge why the player wants it. If it's just something like this, because it could just be like it's really cool, like Warforged. It's like, well, now I want to play Warforged now that's in 5th edition. Gabe, can I please change my character to a Warforged? Like, I'm going to...
To which I will respond is, are we playing an Eberron game?
It doesn't matter, Gabe.
If the answer is yes,
it doesn't matter.
Then yes, Jeff, you can make your character into a Warforged. If we're not playing an Eberron game, the answer is still probably yes, but we need some work. Go on.
But, well, now I'm just mad. I don't want to answer this question anymore, Gabe, because Gabe won't let me play a Warforged.
So, you made a good point. You should try and find out why the player wants it.
Right.
Now, I'll get this right out there. Generally speaking, I think that it's probably less of a problem than you think it is to let a character remake or adjust their character.
Yeah.
I mean, I've heard lots of arguments that like, oh, if they make a new character, it's immersion breaking and so on. Yes, it is.
Yeah, sure.
But everybody's there to have fun.
Yeah, is it fun?
Exactly.
Is it fun?
So if the player, I mean, and I don't think any reason should really be an immediate, no, you can't do that.
Right.
But I do think it is important just to understand where the player's coming from.
Yeah.
If a player just sees a really cool, if they're like, oh man, this class is awesome, I would love to try out that class.
Yeah.
You might want to let them remake their character, in which case I say thumbs up.
Mm-hmm.
You might want to maybe make them just have their next level, just start multi-classing, and just the next time you level up, have them take a level of that class.
Sure.
Maybe further down the line, let them start swapping out previous levels for more levels of that class. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's up to you. But I think that at no point, this is kind of my mission statement for this whole question, is at no point should you tell a player you're not allowed to have more fun. I think most of the time when players want to remake their character or tweak their character, it's because they're either not enjoying the character they're playing,
right,
or they thought of another concept that they might enjoy more. Now, I suppose in theory, there's a chance that the player might not know what they want, and they might just keep cycling through stuff in order to find what they want. Even in that case, I say that's not necessarily a bad thing, because maybe the player isn't very committed to the game. That might be the case. It might just be that they don't know what they want, and they are desperately trying to figure out what they want.
Yeah.
In that case, it probably would be best in the long run to help them, if they have to try out 5 different classes to figure out what they want. After those 5 classes, they will be having the most fun. So I can understand the knee-jerk reaction of, oh, I don't want to do that. Maybe it sets a bad precedent or whatever. But I don't think... I've never encountered it being an actual problem.
Right.
That being said, I have played with players who I don't think really were as committed to the game, and they just did it on a whim, and it annoyed me at the time. Looking back, I don't know exactly why it annoyed me at the time. So, I mean, I'm not saying that I've never encountered this, and I'm not saying that I've never had that knee-jerk reaction. I just think that in the long run, I don't think it's going to be as big of a problem as you think it is.
Right. Once you start getting into like homebrew stuff,
sure,
like that gets way more complicated. Like if they see a thing online that's a homebrew and they're like, oh, really excited about it.
Yeah.
And if it is that person who wasn't really invested in the game, but then you see that they're excited about this thing, it's like, well, maybe I could just let it happen just to make sure that this person stays in the group, basically.
Yeah.
There is sort of like setting a precedent, so where like they're changing their character every 2 adventures or something like that,
right.
Because like they haven't quite figured out what they want to play, or they're just the kind of person that like comes up with character concepts every minute and wants to play them every minute, which like I understand that. I get it.
Because like I had a friend, I've mentioned him in the past, his name's Nick. He passed away a few years ago, but I played D&D with him for a couple years, I think. And when I did play with him, like he did get on my nerves a lot in that he would just show up and he would have completely remade his character. Looking back, I doubt it was because I don't think it was because he was trying to like take advantage of the game. I think it's probably just he lost his character sheet and he didn't know what he just made a new character. However, he often used sources that were not valid for the like he had like a class from a game that wasn't even D&D. I don't know how he converted it into D&D, but like I think at the time what really was the core of my problem was that he wasn't making his character balanced with the rest of the group.
Right.
But it just annoyed me at the time that like, yeah, man, he's just making a new character every time. But looking back, that didn't make a difference. He didn't do anything nobody else in the group could do. He just, I think it just annoyed me because at the time I probably didn't think he was like as committed to the game as I was.
Sure.
I was, a bit of a snob or something. Also, I think that at times he just got on my nerves as a player, some of his playing habits. And so I probably use that to color everything that he did in my mind as being like, oh, that's bad. He shouldn't be doing that. It's like, no, Gabe, just chill out.
Right.
Let him just play the game. It doesn't matter. So I mean, like I have been annoyed with people that do that, but again, I really don't think it affected anything. Like in the long run, I don't think anybody remembers it but me.
Sure. Like, you just still overall had fun and everything, with the D&D and everything.
So like as far as immersion breaking and such, so let's say it is a player wants to, they're like, I don't want to play Ragthar the Barbarian anymore. I want to play like a wizard that, whatever, join the group. I'll just make this new character and you can just have him join the group now. I can understand people saying like, oh, well, we have no reason to trust him and so on and so on. If you're in a game where not having a reason to trust the new player that has joined the group, I would say you're in the vast minority. Like in my mind, yeah, that feels like a concern, but every game I've ever been a part of, when a new player shows up, we're just like, yeah, sure, come on, we'll figure it out as we go.
Yeah, so if it's like a new player getting into the group, and so they bring in a new character, like everyone's like, yeah. Oh yeah, bring this person on.
But then if it's
finding every single excuse for this character to be, oh, he was actually an old buddy of mine.
Yeah, he's my cousin.
Yeah, he's been here all along. But if it's somebody changing their character midway, like,
well, no, we don't know this guy.
Yeah,
what the heck?
Who is this guy? Like starting that interparty conflict.
There you go.
Oh, and I think it does kind of go back to the issues you had with Nick, where it's sort of like you feel sort of like you resent them a little bit, like where it's like, well, I'm not doing that. How come I can't? Like,
well, maybe I want to remake my character.
Like, you know what? I'm gonna write up in the D&D wiki my own homebrew thing and then source it to the DM and be like, hey.
Of course, there is the question of balance when bringing in a new book. Is it balanced? Now, I am in favor of giving the benefit of the doubt with new books. I don't ever want the DM to have read every book in order to justify whether to allow it or not. I think that's unfair to the DM. That's unfair to everybody. But I think that if a new book comes out, I think that you should let the players use it, but everyone should be willing to accept if there comes a point where you start to think, oh, this is kind of really powerful.
Sure.
Maybe scaling it back, or maybe making some changes when it becomes an issue.
Yeah.
Now the winged tiefling thing, I'm always quick to complain about that. Have I ever played in a group with a winged tiefling? No. If I had, would it be a problem? Probably not. Like I've complained about a lot of stuff in the various books that I think are unbalanced, but whenever I do, I try to stress that I don't think it's going to ruin anybody's game. Doesn't mean it can't. Doesn't mean it shouldn't still be fixed. It doesn't mean you shouldn't be aware of it. But your game if your game is immediately broken by an option in the new book may be at fault, but also so is your game.
Yeah, I mean,
to an extent.
Right.
It might just be you just didn't think of that, and therefore it broke your game. That should be avoided. But at the same time, if a player came up with a solution that you didn't think of and it wasn't from a book, you shouldn't penalize the player. You should just say, oh, shoot, I need to keep that in mind from now on.
Yeah.
So try to avoid the knee-jerk reaction of, oh, this is too powerful, let's not allow it. Maybe that'll happen. I think it's too early, especially with the Eberron book, to make that judgment call just yet. But
the Artificer can make turrets, Gabe.
Can they really?
Yeah, they can make turrets.
Well, good for them.
Yeah, it's great.
Then
can I change my character to an Artificer?
Yes, but not a Warforged. So what I'm trying to say is that you shouldn't just categorically disallow players from doing the stuff. Work with them. If a player says, I want to make a new character because I want to be this different race and I want to be a Warforged Artificer in this new campaign. I know we already started, but I want to play this other character. Don't just say, no, you can't do it. Maybe don't just say, yes, you can do it. Work with the player. Figure out, okay, what's happening with your old character?
Right.
Where's this new character coming from? How is this new character going to be integrated into the party? I would even stress against just killing off your old character. I think it's probably a better idea to find a reason why your old character would stop adventuring. I'm always fond of adventurers retiring.
Right, yeah.
That never happens. Everybody just plays until the campaign falls apart.
Yeah, and then it's just
and then that's it.
And there's just obscurity. Yep.
Exactly. Because if the player starts playing this new class and they're like, oh shoot, I really don't like playing this new class. If they killed off their previous character, it's a lot harder to be like, I'm just going to go back to playing my old character, you know? So don't kill off your old characters. Just like find a way to have them go do something else. You know, you didn't sign a contract when you joined that adventuring party, right?
Wait, maybe we can sometimes instead of doing the funeral pyre, we can do the retirement plan, where it's people describe their characters' retirements.
Okay.
Like
that's not a bad idea.
We could switch it up sometimes.
Okay, listeners, if you have ever had a character retire, we would love to we would love to occasionally do a retirement plan instead of retirement plan or retirement village.
Well, I don't know. It's like a little old folks home for retired adventurers.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know.
We'll workshop a name.
Yeah,
so if you have any retirement stories, we would love to get those.
Because like there definitely been a couple submissions for Funeral Pyre that are less about like the death of the character, but more just the end of the character's adventure, which usually ended up them going to like a different plane or something silly,
something like that. So yeah, like with your old, just kind of sideline your own old character for a little bit. Let the player try out a new, maybe even just for a session, see how they like it. Heck, if you even don't want it to be a part of the like main plot, if you're really that against incorporating a new character into the story, then just have a session where you just tell everybody, make a character you're thinking of playing, but you haven't actually made yet, and then run a short one-shot, maybe even in the same universe, maybe not. Run a short one-shot where the players can try out different types of characters. And then that'll give them a little bit of an idea, of whether they like playing as that character or not. And then if they like it, maybe find a way to incorporate them into the main campaign. You know, work with them, try and figure out the best thing for everybody.
Yeah.
I think that like no story is if your story is so fragile, it's broken by one character retiring or whatever, and then a new character coming in, your story was probably fragile without that too.
Yeah.
So, try and don't just shut everything down immediately. I've spent so many years shutting down everything immediately, and I can tell you it's not the most fun option.
I mean, like in my memories, like I don't remember feeling shut down.
It was mostly before you joined.
Sure.
I think I shut down a lot of stuff before the Age of Worms campaign when it was Jay, Steve, and Jamie and John. I shut down so many things in that campaign.
Because the Age of Worms campaign, I basically had this exact thing.
Very much, yes.
Yeah, it was. I don't know how soon it was after the book came out, but it was probably around that time.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I had a character, and it was just not working out.
Yep.
And so I rolled a new character that was using a class from a new book.
Yeah.
And then that wasn't working out. So then I started taking levels in another class from another book that just came out.
That's right.
Yeah. And then you went in and made an item that made it so it like I was basically
so it didn't suck as much.
So it didn't suck as much that it was multi-classing and so yeah, like Gabe jumped a lot of hoops.
I worked with you
yes,
to make sure to make it work. You know.
So it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
What are you doing, Jeff?
It's all right because,
it's a memorable, adventure that we had, even with all those weird changes and stuff.
Just if you are a player that you know exactly what you want to play before the campaign starts, I applaud you.
Yeah, sure.
Because so many times I've started in a campaign and then I didn't know I just picked it because, we needed a healer.
Yeah.
Or whatever. And sometimes you feel strongly enough that you want to move on and make a different character. Sometimes you're willing to just tough it out.
Yeah.
Nobody should be forced to toughen out either for the party's sake, for the story's sake, for the DM's sake. Nobody should be forced to do something they don't want to do. Because like they might just leave.
Yeah.
The worst thing is just for a player to just leave the game because they're not having fun. If there's something else that you can do, that you can always make adjustments to fit in a new character. You can always make adjustments to fit in a new class or to live without a particular role. It's hard. It's a lot of work. You got to work with the players. But I think we even talked about last week, you shouldn't put everything on the DM's shoulders.
Sure.
Everybody should have a part, and that means everybody should be able to be doing what they want to do to help the game.
I feel like a big part of this is like the way that your sessions work. So back in the day when we would run, well, like even though we only really did it twice, like full campaigns.
Yeah.
Like it would be a bit weird that in the middle of the campaign, like because the change that I made in the Age of Worms was like within like the first couple adventures.
Well, so it was after the third. I think there were 10 adventures, and it was after the third.
Okay.
Because you were there for the beginning. You were there for
the Whispering Cairn.
Yeah. You were there for the one where there were like the 3 temples and then the big monster at the end of the 3 temples. And then you were even there for the one where you go and you like defended a keep against a bunch of orcs. Because I remember the way that I incorporated your new character was that he was a friend of an NPC that you met in the big city, which wasn't until the 4th adventure.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, wow. I always think of it as being much earlier too.
Yeah, I thought it was like,
but it really was a third of the way through the campaign.
Yeah, I feel like I like I always felt like the change happened like in the second or at latest the third, adventure.
Yeah, it might have been that the last adventures took much longer. So time wise, it was probably
like
earlier
session
on.
wise, yeah, like it was the later adventures took several more sessions.
Yeah,
but so like relative to the time we spent in the campaign,
the full campaign,
it was pretty early on in sessions. So, but like, I don't know, like getting together now is harder. We've talked about like, everybody's got that, the like getting a schedule together for playing D&D is hard nowadays.
Yeah.
When you can't really commit to a full campaign, it's not really the hardest thing to like start anew or like put in a new character. It's like if it's been weeks or months between sessions, you can't even remember how you were playing the character.
Exactly.
What's the difference of you changing your character? Like it might not even be that big of a deal depending on like what your group's schedule is.
Sure.
Cause like I've started 3 or 4 campaigns in the last year or two. And like new character every time, that's so like, but I'm trying new stuff every time. Like when they put out the like the sample, the Unearthed Arcana or whatever, or like they put out like an early draft of like Artificer and stuff. I started playing around with that on a couple of the campaigns that I played. So it's possible it might just not be that big of a deal, at least as far as like immersion and stuff like that. Cause each adventure might be a new campaign altogether, depending on how how your group plays.
I just think that if you force players to stick with what they chose earlier on, even when something else has come out now and is more appealing, you're telling your players, you're discouraging your players from trying things out.
Yeah.
If I knew that I was never going to be, if I knew I was locked into what I was going to choose no matter what, even if I wasn't enjoying myself, even if another option came out later that fit my character concept way better, then I'm going to stress a lot more over character creation.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to like put a lot more work in and make sure that what I want is really what I want.
Yeah. Can we wait to start this campaign until after that book comes out? Cause
there you go.
There's this thing in it that might work out for the character concept I want.
Yeah. And then maybe you get it. And then you didn't notice one bit of text in there. And then after you've made your character, you're like, oh shoot, that destroys my entire concept.
Right.
So, but I'm also going to play what I know. I'm going to play what I know is going to work. I'm probably going to be less likely to do something that is less effective but more fun because, well, I don't want to get halfway through the campaign and then realize I'm not able to do anything in combat. Maybe I don't know if the campaign's going to be mostly combat or not.
Sure.
And then when you realize, oh, well, we're 4 sessions in and 3 of those sessions have been 95% combat and this one is leading up to a big combat itself, then, well, shoot, I shouldn't have made this character into like a role-playing character. I should have made a combat character.
Right, yeah.
So nobody can know what the campaign is going to be before it starts. And you might not know what books are coming out. It might be that there's a book coming out that you've been looking forward to, but you didn't think to ask, can we start this after this book comes out?
Yeah. Yeah, it's like I could see it being like a DM being sort of stubborn. Like it, like, because they've written the adventure for these characters and they have good ideas for this specific for that player's character because it ties into their background really well and they put all this work into it.
Sure.
and then they want to change their character, and you're like, well, dang it! Now I got all this stuff prepared for your old character, but now
And I can understand that.
Yeah.
That's definitely a valid reason. If there is a reason to do it, that's one of the valid reasons out there. So is it possible in that case to incorporate, have this new character also be related, maybe in a different way, but also be related to the plot?
Yeah.
If your character was like the, last in a long line of chosen ones or whatever, and then like there's a door that can only be opened by their blood, maybe this new character doesn't necessarily have to be related, because that would be a little goofy, especially if you're like a Warforged or something. But maybe this character was part of a cult that was trying to subvert that prophecy. Mm-hmm. They were going to try to wedge themselves in there, so that door that only opens from the chosen one's blood, maybe this cult has been working for centuries to manufacture a key to that door that will work instead.
Sure.
I never would have thought I would have brought this up on this show, but there's a TV show that I used to watch called Lex, Lexx.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily recommend anyone watch it. I loved this show when I was in high school, but looking back, I don't feel it has aged well.
I remember watching a few episodes of it when I was younger, and it was weird.
It is one of the weirdest shows I've ever seen. But the first episode, the premise is that there is this evil being that is in like this, that it is ruling over like thousands of planets in this galaxy or whatever. And the evil guy has had his giant organization create a ship that is basically a giant weapon. Also, it's shaped like a penis. So this ship that can fly around and destroy planets. And in order to control this ship, the big bad evil guy has a key that is like this energy that like lives in his somewhere. It like lives in his brain, and like he can hold out his hand and like a thing will appear and he can control the ship with it. It is just a thing that he uses. And then these rebels show up that have manufactured their own version of that key. Not only have they manufactured their own version of that key, but theirs is specifically designed in such a way that when one of them dies, the energy leaves their body and goes into the nearest willing person, so that they are guaranteed to always be able to pass on this key if they have to. So as a result, the main characters of the show, are just kind of a couple randos that happen to be there, manage to get a hold of this key and then are put in control of the most powerful weapon in the universe. And I think that's a great concept.
Yeah.
So that could fit into a game like a D&D game where there is a chosen one that has a specific thing that is tied to their bloodline or whatever. There's always a way to come up with somebody else that is related, but that can fill the same role in the campaign, but isn't necessarily a blood relative or whatever. So what I'm trying to say is that if you think that getting rid of a certain character in the campaign will ruin the campaign, I'm telling you, you're wrong. There's always a way to get around it.
Right.
Also, what are you going to do if that character dies?
Yeah.
If there is one character that the campaign doesn't work without that character, does that mean that you're unwilling to kill that character too? That may be. I'm not trying to disparage that. I'm just saying that's something you got to be aware of.
Yeah.
If you're unwilling to kill off that character, okay, that is a reason to discourage that character from leaving. But that's something to be aware of, because you might not realize, oh shoot, that's true. You know what? Maybe I wouldn't be willing. Maybe I need to rethink the whole part of their whole role in this.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I feel like there is always a way to work it in.
Yeah.
It's,
it might not be exactly what you wanted. It might not be exactly as good as you thought it would be. Maybe it will. Maybe you won't like it at first, but you'll end up loving it as the campaign goes on. Just at the end of the day, the game is to have fun. And not just the DM's fun, everybody's fun. No DM should be forced to do something that they don't enjoy. And so as a result, neither should a player.
Right.
So if having a player swap out their character makes the game less fun for the DM, okay, I understand. Maybe that's something to talk over with the players. Maybe everybody's in this for the wrong reasons. Maybe nobody's having a good time and they're all just trying to please everybody else and it's not working. I don't know. If it comes down to that, if it comes down to this decision will make the game less fun for me, then okay, that's a serious thing and you should definitely discuss that. But that applies to the DM and it applies to the players. Don't make a player do something. Don't make a player play a character they don't want to play. Also, if the DM has serious problems with it, maybe the player can find some other way to do it. Maybe the player will be perfectly fine with just multi-classing into that new class.
Right.
Maybe the player could research they could research like a reincarnate spell that will reincarnate them as a new race.
Sure.
That is from this new book. If everybody is willing to make a little bit of an adjustment, it's going to be, I think it'll work out. It should work out for everybody.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
In my imagination, the main worry is somebody's just trying to, somebody's just changing just because, it's just the cool new thing.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, the new book's out. We got to try the new stuff.
Sure.
Because we definitely did that.
We did. Yeah.
We definitely did that. Anytime a new book.
When, Complete Warrior or Complete Arcane came out, all of our characters changed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that was in 3.5 when there was a source book coming out every month, I felt like.
Sure.
It just, because there was just new stuff. And our campaigns went on for so long, then there were several source books that came out during the age of the Age of Worms.
Absolutely.
So it's like, oh, there's this cool new thing. We have to try this. And it's because it's exciting and it's alluring and it's hard not to.
Yeah, and you shouldn't discourage someone from being excited about a new book. It's a new book. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Everybody should be excited about that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so yeah, it's difficult, but it's worth it if it's fun.
Yeah. So my mission statements here are number 1, the game is meant to be fun. Yep. Number 2, it's probably not as big of a deal as you think it is. Mm-hmm. You might do it and then realize, oh, this is fine. We're still playing the game. We're still having fun.
Right.
Who cares what changes got made?
Yeah. The player didn't change, which is what you don't want. You don't want to have to get a whole new person because you didn't let them do the thing.
Which would be worse, having the player make a new character who then has to be incorporated into the story, or having that character be like, well, fine, I'm leaving, and then have to find a new player.
Right.
I doubt it's going to come to that.
Right.
But I doubt it's going to be a problem either way. You know what I mean? Just let everybody have fun. Anyway, hopefully that wasn't just a big, I don't know.
I'm sure some of that was
everybody
helpful.
Stop being a curmudgeon. I mean that to myself as well. Everybody just have fun. Find a way to make it work. As Tim Gunn would say on Project Runway, make it work.
Oh my goodness. That again, that's way back,
Yeah.
That was during Age of Worms.
That it was.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, that was so long ago. All right, I think that'll do it for our regular questions for today. I think we're getting up close to time.
Sure.
But we do still have our social media discussion questions to discuss. So our last social media discussion question was, have you ever made an ice or snow themed character? What did you do?
I don't believe I ever did. Yeah, I don't think I ever had a weather or even a themed character like that before. Yeah. I guess I've done I was thinking druids, but I don't think I had a specific season or biome in mind for my druids that I've played. Yeah. I guess the last one I played was a lizard guy, so I was more I was kind of going for a swampy vibe, but
okay. Yeah, I think once I don't think I actually played it, but I made a character that was going to be a snow themed druid. Mm-hmm. I think there was a bunch of variant druids in this issue of Dragon magazine. I think. So I think that was the closest I've ever come. But like we talked to in Jay's Eberron campaign, Steve was playing a character that was an ice themed sorcerer. Yeah, but he was a silver dragon, right? Silver dragon themed. So.
Yeah, so he had all cold based stuff. Mm-hmm. It was pretty cool.
Apparently, not many of our listeners have done this either, because on most of our platforms we got no responses.
Yeah, I mean that's
fine.
It's very specific,
kind of. Yeah. So nobody on Facebook, nobody on Twitter, nobody on Reddit, but on Discord we got a few people. Mm-hmm. The Beverage Tea says, no, I would love to make a snowy, icy, cold-hearted, warm-blooded character to play in a campaign, but the opportunity has not come yet. I blame global warming.
Oh, no.
E. Thompson 03 says, I have not, but I think it would be fun, especially if you reflavor abilities. Make a monk, but his quivering palm is ice slowly enveloping the character's insides.
I like that.
Or instead of a wizard's fireball, it would be an explosion of ice shards. Maybe that flavor is why a dwarf gets extra constitution, because they're used to living in the snow.
Oh, okay.
There you go. That's pretty cool. Floofy Shoob says, that one's on my never have I ever list. 40 years of gaming, and not only have I never played one, nobody I've ever played with has ever played one either. White dragons, bottom of the dragon hierarchy for a reason. Womp womp. Stiltskin Kupo 84 said, I've had it happen twice. 2 different dudes I have played with have wanted to be the ice guy. Once while I was DMing and once while I was a player in the group. Unfortunately, you have to reflavor things in D&D to make that happen. Fire is much more prevalent.
Right, yeah. That is a big deal.
Yeah, in 3rd edition, there was a feat you could take as a caster that let you you chose an element, and then any spell that was a different element you could change to be the chosen element.
Yeah.
So you couldn't change anything to anything else, but you could be like, all of my spells can now be ice spells, or all of my spells can be lightning,
right,
or so on.
Yeah, I feel like there's the Draconic Sorcerer in 5th edition. I feel like has something like that.
Yeah, they have that. I think they have that for the element of their Draconic heritage.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, that's something specific to that class.
Right.
Before it was just a feat anybody could take.
Mm-hmm.
John Gemstone says, I have made a water-based character where ice was a small piece of the character's magic.
Sure.
Mostly, I add flavorful descriptions to make spells and class features have a water or ocean feel. I also took any spells using ice, cold, or water, and I was working on making spells until the campaign was canceled. So there you go.
The spell
Simulacrum.
Simulacrum.
Yep.
Although I feel like I've heard it pronounced differently.
It's simulacrum.
It involves making like basically a snowman version of yourself.
Pretty
first.
much, yeah.
Yeah, that's like the material. One of the material components is
a quantity of snow or ice,
right,
equivalent to your body mass or something. Collins B says, now that you ask, I have a character named Catcher. She is a cleric of Oral the Frost Maiden and evil as can be, not in a way that inconveniences the party, just in the way that her long-term goals involve kickstarting the Ice Dawn and freezing the planet. It's a good reminder, evil doesn't mean psychopath.
Okay.
Anyway. She has a typical amulet as her cleric holy symbol in the shape of an ice crystal, but I also gave her the acolyte background, and her holy symbol from that is her left arm, which was lost as a child, and an ice prosthetic was given to her from the goddess, and she uses that arm for all of her somatic components.
Cool.
That's badass right there. All of her spells are flavored
Bad
as...
ice. Go on. Wow.
That's a high five.
I got a high five for that.
That's pretty
one.
good. All of her spells are flavored as using ice in some way. If it's cold damage, that's easy, but slashing or piercing is flavored as ice shards, bludgeoning as blocks of ice, etc. Now I just need the chance to play her.
Oh, yeah. That's
the obstacle right there. And Potato Plunderer said, I've never done something like that before, but a rogue armed with a Frostbrand dagger would be super cool. You could extinguish all the lights in a room with just the unsheathing of your blade, leaving your targets in the dark, ready to stabby stab.
Wait, there's an item that puts out flames?
I think so. Yeah, the Frostbrand dagger, I think it has that special ability.
That's awesome.
One could also choose the Arcane Trickster subclass, reflavoring the illusions and other magics to fit a snowy theme. That would be super cool. I agree. In 4th edition, for a while, it was very, very popular for rogues to have I think it was either the Frostbrand or like there was some magic item, some like relatively low level magic item that its entire thing was that it dealt cold damage. And then I think anytime you took cold damage from it, the target had combat advantage against you for a round, which meant that rogues got to use their sneak attack. So in other words, if a rogue had this type of weapon, you were literally always sneak attacking. So it was a very much a no-brainer for rogues to have. So anyway, my point is that rogues with frost daggers kind of, that's a thing.
Okay.
All right. For at least the last 10 years or so.
Okay.
So yeah, I guess one piece of advice I can give to all these people is just let it go.
Oh wow, Gabe. Look, man, we got to talk about this whole podcast thing.
Yeah. What about it, Jeff?
I'm just going to need to let it go. Let it go.
Sorry. Okay. Do you want me to leave that in?
If you want to.
Okay.
If it didn't like clip horribly.
No, I think it's fine. All right. So our next discussion question is going to be, this was actually suggested by Jeff. Mm-hmm. Have you ever played a character that was particularly older or younger than yourself? Mm-hmm. And if so, how did it go?
Yep. I've mentioned the character before, but I had like a little halfling old lady that I played, and I gave her.
Was that Myrtle?
Yeah, I gave her a funny voice. I don't know if I'd be able to do it right now on the spot, but
you're able to sing "Let It Go" on the spot, but
that's just singing. Voices, you got to get into it.
I understand. I wouldn't do either. So I'm trying to think. I don't know if I ever have, to be perfectly honest. Like, when I was a teenager, I would try to play characters that were like maybe in their 20s or so.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know if I ever did play a character that was like an old man or like a young child.
Right.
I will say that in the story I was writing for a long time, there's one character that was an old man, but then spoilers, you find out after a while that he's actually a changeling and he is actually a young child.
Oh.
He's a young child that took the form of an old man so that people would take him more seriously.
Sure.
So, yeah. So I don't think I ever have, actually, to be perfectly honest, especially not on any sort of a long-term basis.
Like I liked playing Myrtle a lot just because the rest of the group called her Grandma No, because I would just be getting into stuff. I'd be just like, I'd be like trying to like scold the orc.
Yeah.
And they'd be like, Grandma, no, stop. So.
But did you use vicious mockery to scold the orc?
Absolutely.
There you go. You're doing it right.
That was one of the chicks that was just like, she's got vicious mockery. She's just like, hey, you, and like wags her finger and it does damage.
There you go. Back in 3rd edition, there were rules on if your character was you were adult, and then there was like middle-aged and venerable, I think, were the 3 age categories.
You took penalties.
Well, you got penalties to certain things, and you got bonuses to other things.
Right, so your intelligence and wisdom would go up, but your like strength and...
It was all your mental stats went up by 1 per category.
Right.
And then all your physical stats went down by 1.
Did your charisma go up too? I feel like that's not a thing.
It went up. There was even an Order of the Stick where that referenced it, I think.
Yeah.
So yeah, there were reasons to do it. Like there were people who they were like, oh yeah, I'll just make a druid who is super old because then you get all the benefits of the mental stats.
Right.
And then you're in wild shape all the time, so it doesn't matter what your physical stats are.
And then I think eventually druids just didn't age.
Yeah.
So,
druids and monks too didn't age after a certain point. And then or just you were just going to be playing a caster and you really want that +2 to charisma or whatever.
Sure, yeah.
So yeah. So there was a reason to do it before. I think nowadays it's just flavor. But I'm curious. I'm curious as to whether our listeners have done that.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of strange to think of like humans, like a human in their like 80s or something like that. They're like an old wizard with long beard and then they're standing next to a elf bard who is like hundreds
double
of
their age,
double their age, and they're like
they're not considered old because
they're skipping around like they're in their 30s or or in their 20s or 30s.
Yeah, that's a little goofy.
Yeah, it's like I'm the wise old grandpa of the group.
Yeah,
meanwhile,
what I always thought about was like in the Shackled City, there's an orphanage that the first adventure kind of like it involves.
You're right.
And in the orphanage, one of the kids is like a dwarf.
Yeah,
the kid's like 60 years old or something, and they're still a child compared to all these kids that are like 8.
Yeah. And like, so in the game series of Mass Effect, they're like different races, like because they're from different planets and stuff like that.
Sure.
And like, so it's like when they're from different planets, it's like they grew up on a completely different planet, different ecosystem, different everything.
Yeah,
you think like, okay, humans, they live to be 100 or whatever, and then there's the Asari who live to be thousands of years old, but like completely different planets. Like if it was different planes. But like when you think about the difference between a dwarf and a human, yes, they live in different, societies, but you're still living on the same like plane of existence, I guess.
Yeah, it's weird to think that like a human goes to school for 10 years or whatever. 10 years? No, how many years? However many years. Let's say a human goes to school for 10 years and they learn whatever in 10 years. If an elf goes to school for those 10 years, do they learn the same amount or do they learn like vastly less because they aren't considered to be, a fully fledged wizard or whatever for like 5 times as long?
Yeah. I mean, it's just, I guess they're learning different things, but like it's, you put a level 1 human wizard and a level 1 elf wizard.
Yeah.
They're only going to have at most, a couple points in stats difference depending on the racial benefits or whatever. But like they still know the same spells. So I'm sorry, did it take you twice as long to learn prestidigitation?
Right.
Like, like it's like we can both cast magic missile, but it took you 300 years to master it. It took me 20.
There was I don't know how much of this I'm gonna cut out or anything, but there was a point in when I was playing as my character Saythorn, who was he was a relatively high level cleric.
Okay.
And there was a point where our characters were kind of in hiding for like several years, and I realized that I think my character was getting close to the middle-aged point by that point in the campaign, that I was going to have to start using magic in order to extend his lifespan because I didn't want him to become middle-aged. And because of how aging, so I found a spell in some third-party book that it just, you don't get the benefits or drawbacks of aging. So like you just don't age. And I found it strange that, okay, it makes sense that you wouldn't get that you would halt the physical deterioration that causes the penalties to strength and dexterity and such.
Right.
Why isn't your character getting smarter and more wise? And so the way I flavored it, I think I like wrote a journal as this character where my character was like, I feel like I'm getting dumber. Like I've been doing this thing for like 10 years now. I haven't learned a thing in those 10 years. I feel like I'm stunted in my mental growth in the same way that my body is being kept in the same, state.
It's like,
so it's just something weird to think about.
Like it's like a memory loss sort of thing. Maybe.
Kind of, yeah. That's how I flavored
memory
it.
Loss kind of thing.
Like maybe my character does learn things, but then they go down the drain at some point.
Sure, yeah.
So
interesting.
Anyway, I just thought it was an interesting way to look at that. So that was the discussion topic for next time. Have you ever played a character that is particularly older or younger than yourself? Mm-hmm. And if so, how did it go?
Yep.
So that'll do it for our questions. Before we close out, let's wind down a little bit. Let's take a deep breath. Jeff, I'm old. I'm going to be on the funeral pyre at some point.
No,
I'm getting so old.
Come on, no, they'll invent nano blood.
Well, so I'm going to look forward to my future as I toss another log onto the funeral pyre. Today's story was submitted by Elliot M., who actually won the drawing, or the Chapel on the Cliffs drawing.
That keeps happening.
Yeah. So Elliot M. submitted this via email, and the story goes as follows. My group of adventurers had just finished defeating a dragon that was terrorizing the countryside, and they found its hoard. The thief and fighter decided to take a rest in the corner. My friends decided to leave the room for a break, while the cleric, wizard, and other fighter searched the treasure. I decided that they would find the deck of many things in it after a magic search from the wizard. They chose to draw, and I had them go in initiative order and pre-roll their cards. First up, the cleric pulls the skull, causing an avatar of death to spawn and attack her. Mind you, they didn't rest after the dragon and were pretty beat up.
Oh, jeez.
The wizard, not checking his knowledge of the enemy and before making his draw from the deck, attacks to help the losing cleric, causing another avatar to spawn and attack him. So that's how that works. If anybody else joins in, they get an avatar as well.
Oh, geez.
Some bad rolls later, they are both knocked out and automatically killed by their avatars. The fighter, having not jumped in and the last one standing, draws from the deck, drawing the balance, altering her alignment from lawful good to chaotic evil. She then proceeds to murder the remaining two resting adventurers, flee the tower, and terrorize the countryside.
Oh, man.
So ends the adventure.
Oh, gosh. That's why you don't use the deck of many things.
That is why you don't use the deck of many things. Exactly. So I think that what is being tossed on the funeral pyre here is not one particular character. It is the whole campaign.
Right. Yes.
Clink. All right. Well, that will do it for today. To submit questions for us to discuss, items for the Dragon's Hoard, or stories for the funeral pyre, please email us at interpartyconflict@gmail.com. For show notes, links to media mentioned on the show, and running lists of questions and magic items, go to interpartyconflict.com. Join the discussion on social media. Find us on Facebook, facebook.com/InterPartyConflict, on Reddit at r/InterPartyConflict, on our Interparty Discord, or on Twitter at InPartyConflict for our weekly social media questions. Your answers might end up on the show. Find us on iTunes, Google Play Music, Stitcher, YouTube, anywhere you download podcasts. Please rate, review, subscribe, or just tell a friend. If you'd like to support the show, check out the rewards at patreon.com/InterPartyConflict. There's a few different tiers, so anything you can spare, even $1 a month, would go towards making the show better, and you'll get bonus content for it. Jeff, tell us about FriendQuest.
FriendQuest is our YouTube channel where we play video games. Go check out that Tower of Doom playthrough.
Absolutely.
You can hear Gabe and I when we first got our microphones.
And if I can give like a little behind-the-scenes thing, at the time, I had the idea, what if we don't actually use our real names? Like,
oh, right.
So in the first couple, the first few games we played, we did not actually say each other's names.
Right.
When we were doing Tower of Doom, I think I put my name in as, it was going to be Red Sleeves, but it was like Red Soul.
Yeah.
And yours was Dumps.
Right, Dumps.
So we didn't actually call each other by our names for a while.
Yeah, we were,
for a reason.
We were still trying to decide what we wanted to put out there.
Yes. And I will admit that was a dumb idea. I should not have suggested that.
It was just, whatever.
Anyway, just a fun thing to watch out for.
Yeah, so go back and watch us be embarrassing.
Yes. There was a point where I went on a Final Fantasy 13 rant, and I felt really bad about it afterwards.
You shouldn't. It's a terrible game.
I guess. Anyway, speaking of video games, check out my side project, the Arcade Memories Podcast. If you'd like to submit your own childhood memories of going to the arcade, record them or write them to me at arcadememoriespodcast@gmail.com. Also, head over to bit.ly/InterPartyConflict to take a short survey about our show. What you like, what you don't like, etc. And just for taking it, you'll get 2 free printable board games courtesy of Mary and Tom over at hollandspiel.com. And our music is made by Boxcat Games from Nameless the Hacker's RPG. So, Jeff, until next time.
Oh, wait, Gabe, before we finish the episode, can I make a new character?
Yep. So if I have a new co-host next time, you guys know why.
He'll be a Warforged.
Oh, no!